right, everybody. Welcome to Video Marketing Study Group Office Hours. It's always a mouthful. The HubSpot Video Marketing Study Group Office Hours. It's August 24th. So this we've been doing this for a while. I don't know. I always try to say what episode this is and I just lose count. But welcome, everybody. We appreciate you being here. If you are here and in the chat, let us know who you are, location, position, and company, and are you video marketing certified yet? We always like to gauge who is video marketing certified versus who isn't in these study group office hours. Just a quick introduction. If this is your first time here and you've never met us, my name is Aaron Oberdick. I'm the video marketing manager, and I also have Corey with me. He's our multimedia marketer. So we together are going to go ahead and just run through this presentation. So if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to let us know in the chat. Additionally, if you can also come on camera, turn on your audio at the end of the session as well when we conduct a Q&A, and you're more than welcome to just hang out and ask any questions there. Now, I want to also touch on the HubSpot Video Marketing Study Group. If you have not joined this, right, you probably have, because typically most people are signing up through the study group. But if you haven't found the study group, but you have found your way to office hours, make sure that you go register for the HubSpot Video Marketing Study Group. Corey is going to drop the link there in the chat. So go ahead, head over there, register, sign up. It's a great place to ask video questions. Anything related to video, whether it's video marketing strategies, whether it's video production, video editing, doesn't really matter as long as it kind of entails video in some kind of way. It's just a great opportunity to ask your questions and get answers through that. All right, so the agenda today, what are we going to be discussing? It's relatively brief. We're going to do a quick review of some bootcamp updates. We just conducted a 1 week, 2 days, so 2 sessions over 1 week. And it was good. It was a little quick. So we're going to do a little bit more revisions for this next upcoming bootcamp. We'll talk about those changes. Then we'll talk about a few questions that we received in the study group. And then we will conduct that Q&A like I just mentioned at the end. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it, right? First and foremost is going to be bootcamp updates. And you might be thinking, great, what's updates on the bootcamp? What is the bootcamp, right? And so let's take one step back and explain exactly what this is. Corey will go ahead and drop a link in the chat. You can head over there and register if this sounds interested. But bootcamp is basically a place where if you have no video knowledge, but you're looking to kind of get started in video, it's a great opportunity to really gain that knowledge and understand kind of the steps that you need to take from conception all the way to recording, editing, and finalizing a video. So initially it was a 6-week course, and then we kind of modified it a little bit smaller, and then this idea was floated through HubSpot where maybe instead of doing 6 weeks, we do 1 week in 2 different sessions. So we basically crammed all of 6-week content into 2 sessions. We kind of found out that was just a little bit too fast, a little too quick for most people. So the new boot camp that's going to be starting, Corey, September, October. I'm not honestly sure.
It is October. I can get you an exact date right now. I believe it is October the 4th, maybe. Yeah, October 4th.
That sounds correct. And the new boot camp format is going to follow a 4-week format. So we are going to be conducting across 4 weeks, 1 time per week, 1 hour per session, 4 total hours. And you basically, again, you're going to be learning from the very beginning of why video. We're going to go through some statistics. Then we're going to go through video concepts, video pre-production, production, and post-production efforts. And then finally, we'll look at some video analysis. And we're going to cater that down, break it down into 4 weeks. So if that's something that seems interesting to you, if you want to come, learn, be part of a community and just kind of learn how to do videos, this is a great opportunity to do so. It's also a completely free boot camp. So we highly encourage people, again, who are interested in this to definitely register and come to the next bootcamp session. If you guys have any bootcamp questions as well, please let us know in the chat as well. All right. And that was just the link slide. So let's continue on here. All right, so we had a few questions from the study group that we always find interesting, and so we try to highlight some questions in these office hour monthly sessions. And so the first question was really interesting that caught our eye is how do I create a blurry background like the movies? All of my videos look different, and I really wanted to highlight this because it goes to show like we're catering to the people who are just getting started with video all the way to very technically sound and very advanced stuff, right? Like blurry background in the movies, it can be phrased better if you're a little bit more technically savvy, right? That's actually what we call depth of field. And so we're going to explain depth of field a little bit. I'm probably going to go a little bit too deep here, Corey and I, but we'll explain it to you. So, depth of field, what is it, right? It's basically the focus length in your frame. So, when you're watching a movie, right, you're watching someone speak, and in the background, you see it's nice and blurry, it's all kind of faded out. And so, you're really focused in on the subject and what that subject's talking about, right? Um, but of course, when here on a webcam, right, you can see my guitars are in focus, my piano's in focus, like everything is in focus in my entire frame. I can move my hand, it's in focus. I can move it all the way back and it's going to stay in focus. That's because I have a very deep depth of field. And basically, the way you get that is actually through your camera functionality, your lens functionality. So you can see there from the different images that we have displayed. 1.4 is a very open f-stop. So let me take one step back, right? F-stop is a way to open and close the aperture on your camera. And so when you're at a very low f-stop, like 1.4, it's very open. And what it's doing is it's letting a lot of light in, and that's what's creating your depth of field. The more light you're letting in, the shallower depth of field you are achieving. So as you get lower, right, 2.8, 4, 5.6, and then even f8, you can see it gauges that aperture down a lot more. It's letting a lot less light in. Now you might be thinking, well, why don't we just shoot everything at f1.4? That is, you just can't do that because a lot of different cameras, a lot of different lenses are fixed and you can't really achieve that, right? So something like my laptop camera here, I can't change my f-stop on my laptop camera. So I it is what it is and that's what I get. It's also a lot smaller, so it doesn't have the ability to let a lot of light in per se. A full frame DSLR camera, it's got a big lens on it. It's got a big aperture on it. This little pinpoint camera in my actual in my computer here is much smaller, so it's only able to let so much light in. But essentially, long and short, depth of field, right, is just that depth in your actual frame that's in focus versus out of focus. And the more light you let in, that more blur per se you get. Um, we have another chart here, so you can kind of see focus distance, focal point. Kim asked, is this possible to do on the iPhone? It is. Uh, I don't think you can do it through the standard photo app, right, Corey? But
You can now
oh,
on
you can't
certain
now?
iPhones. Certain iPhones have what's called cinematic video mode, and it uses all of your basically both of your rear cameras. So it uses both cameras to calculate depth, and it provides a little bit of that kind of soft focus for the background. It's not perfect because it's virtual. The
It's
iPhone
emulating it.
itself is not capable of producing that blurred background. It does do it through math, basically.
AI, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, so okay, I guess it does do it on iPhone. I know it did it with there's an app specifically called Filmic Pro that I
Yes.
used to utilize a lot on my iPhone back when I just kind of got a gimbal with it. And it gives you a lot of manual functionality, so you are able to change the f-stop and let more or less light in. I know that's a paid app, but I also am using an iPhone 8 still, so I'm a little bit behind the times there. Uh,
Yeah. I have an iPhone 13. I think that might be the first one, but definitely the iPhone 13, not even the Pro, does have cinematic video mode. So
you
there's
can't
that.
do it on an iPhone with a button still. So
Probably not.
um, yeah, but anyways, that is what depth of field is in a nutshell. I know Corey, you could probably talk about this for an entire hour. Is there anything you want to add to depth of field while we're kind of on the subject?
Yeah, just kind of one thing to note is like, yes, it's great to have a shallow depth of field and it does look nice, right? There is a step where you can take it too far. Um,
Yeah,
if you, for example, are on a DSLR camera and you are using this f1.4 lens, something very wide open, it might be when you go to film that you get the subject's nose in focus, but their eyes aren't quite in focus, or you get their ears in focus, but their eyes are just a little bit soft. And it's because that slice of focus is razor thin at that 1.4. When you get to something like, I mean, the f4 or 5.6, you'll definitely have at least enough headroom for a human being, enough depth of field for a human being, but certainly, it depends on the focal length. It depends on the distance to the subject. There's a lot of those things to play into it, but know that, like, it just because you can go to 1.4 doesn't mean you always want to shoot at 1.4. You do want to make sure your whole subject is in focus, usually from at least the front of their nose to the back of their head, and then try to give a little bit of wiggle room, a few inches either way, because people kind of lean forward and they sit back as they talk. So you don't want them kind of buzzing in and out of that field of focus. Like if that bear were to kind of shift his weight a little bit there, he might be kind of getting blurry every once in a while. And so you want to try and avoid that.
for sure. And I think this picture actually does a pretty
Yes.
good job at explaining that, right? If you're at f3.5, you can see how this foreground like tree leaf is in focus through like from front to back. But if you were to put that at 1.8 or even 1.4, you would
Mhm.
see that those front leaves would be in focus, but the back leaves on that same exact branch would be out of focus. So that's a really good point. Um, we have seen people, you're right, kind of overdo this. They get really excited that they have the ability to create that depth of field, and they go too shallow. And then you're absolutely right. Nose is in focus, eyes are out of focus, or something similar of that nature. So,
Yeah, and if you look at those images too, like, I mean, arguably the most pleasing one of all of them is probably the one that's around f10. It's probably the bottom left one, I would say,
mhm,
because it gives you the most kind of characteristics from the lens while also keeping the background soft. Like
exactly.
the two above it, it's, it gets almost too soft. Like you've lost whatever, especially in that top left one. It's just
Mhm,
kind of green blur. And maybe you need to do that because of the environment that you're in. It's just, whatever, not clean or whatever. But it's not bad to have a little bit of background. We're not always in cinema. It's not like a
right.
Marvel movie, and not every shot needs to be, like crazy. But um, certainly, just remember, just because you can go really, really wide doesn't always mean you necessarily need to.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and shift our attention over to the next question. If you guys have any questions about depth of field, bokeh, whatever it may be, feel free to poke us. Um, okay, so our second question we really saw and thought was a good question to cover. A video clip of a boat on the ocean is all I need to finish a project, but I don't live near water. Can I purchase someone's video footage to complete my project? Yeah, of course. This is a very particular case, right? But it does expand to a range of situations. A lot of times you're just looking for a B-roll clip of something that you just cannot physically capture yourself, right? And so that's where stock footage comes in. You can see here there's a big watermark across that clip there. It's called Pond 5. Pond 5 is a website where you can go and you can basically type exactly what you're looking for it, right? I'm looking for a boat that's crossing some water in a specific manner. You can probably find it. There's also Shutterstock, ArtGrid, VideoHive, Adobe even has stock footage place. So typically they are for purchase, but it's an absolute lifesaver if you cannot capture that shot, right? Because you can go spend $50 and now you have the exact shot you're looking for, something that's very comparable. Um,
And ArtGrid uses, I probably a lot of them do as well, but ArtGrid I know uses a natural language model for searches, so it uses a little bit of AI assistance. So you can literally type boat crossing from left to right of frame, red jet ski in the background, or something like that. Like you can literally type all that, and it will look for videos that have that contextual information in it, which is pretty cool.
that's awesome. And while we're talking about stock footage, I do want to touch on stock audio as well, right? Because there are a lot of different opportunities to download music. And a lot of people are always asking us, we get this question all the time, like, where do you guys get your music? We do pay for a subscription service called Artlist. Artlist and Artgrid are kind of the same thing there. But
Mhm.
Artlist is their audio library. And so we're able to download full length featured music tracks that are copywritten free, right? We have royalties to them through Artlist, so we're able to utilize them in any of our videos. They also have sound effects that you can download, so really great opportunity to just enhance your overall videos with music, with sound effects, so on and so forth. And then last, YouTube has a free library. So if you're like, I don't have a budget for this, but I do need to get some royalty free music in there, check out YouTube's free audio library. It's a great place to just go check out and get free music for your projects.
Yeah, it's you do have to, some of them need attribution, so just something to
Yeah.
kind of check. Like you can kind of search through them and it'll tell you like in the video's description, you just have to say like, song courtesy of, or whatever they may request. Like you might have to do that in some of them. Not all of them though. So it's just important to kind of check around. I put the link in the chat as well for that.
Awesome.
It's inside of the creator studio. So if you see in that screenshot, you can also just get to it from the creator studio and then it's down there under audio library.
Absolutely. So those were the two questions we really wanted to talk about today. And now we're going to go ahead and shift it over to Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, now would be the time. I know this was a relatively quick presentation, but it wasn't a ton to cover, right? Just bootcamp updates and some questions. We do this every single month. So if you guys are interested in just coming, asking any questions live with us, or just, again, coming out and hanging out each month, we are open to that. But we're here every month. So if you guys have questions, please let us know now.
Yeah, also, Kim, I did, just for your question about how to do more kind of cinematic video on an iPhone, I posted a link there. It is the Apple support page, and it looks like um, you can make edits on a bunch of different devices, but it looks like the footage itself is iPhone 13s and 14s. So the minis, the pros, the pluses, the maxes, the pro maxes, all of the flavors of iPhone in the kind of last two generations can handle that. And it's quite cool. You can record all of it. You can go back and you can edit things. The blog is actually really handy in that it shows you like changing focus points and how to set things between like, I want it to uh, be on my subject here and then fade to the background and come back. So there's a lot of that really cool stuff there. See, we have another one here.
Yeah, Russell's asking. He looks like he's editing with Adobe Premiere Rush, but it's going away
Mhm.
soon. I didn't actually know that they were sunsetting that. Um, it's yeah, easy learning curve, powerful enough to make good videos, but not overwhelming like more pro editors. That is a great kind of summary of it. What would be a good replacement for me, Corey? Do you have anything in on the top of your head there?
Yeah, I mean, because you're already a little bit used to Adobe Premiere, the Adobe ecosystem, it might behoove you to kind of stick in the world of Adobe, and at that point, you're looking at, I mean, it's Adobe Premiere Pro. I don't think they have any other. I was trying to just look just now to see if they had any other ones anymore, and I don't believe I see any. Because they had a number of like Premiere Elements and kind of different levels of Premiere for a while, and Rush and things like that. But yeah, I actually don't even see Rush available on the Adobe website right now. You might have to just download it separate outside of cloud. But yeah, it is unfortunate to hear. There was something, is it like Adobe Elements maybe is coming out as well? They might be integrating a little bit of that into it. I, for some reason, feel like I saw something about that recently. But certainly, you can always follow up with us in the study group, and we can always try to get you some a little bit better kind of dialogue going on some alternatives that we can offer you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's not easy to shift your attention directly over to Premiere, but Corey made a really good point there of being in the Adobe ecosystem and understanding kind of where things are. The jump to Premiere might not be as difficult after understanding the ecosystem. What I will say, I edit in Adobe Premiere for all my projects, and my biggest thing is just the ability to have seamless jumping from Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere, things like that. So obviously it's a little bit difficult to jump up to the Adobe Premiere, but if you can learn it, it's a great opportunity to grow.
I did throw in the chat. It looks like they may still have Adobe Premiere Elements as an option. It looks like it's also on sale right now for until the 4th of September for like $70 or so. So that one I believe is just a one-time non-subscription. You just purchase it and it's yours. Um, I don't know necessarily how I don't know what their plans are with things. It is at least a 2023 version, and they've been integrating the AI functions into it. So it might be that maybe they're trying to push people towards maybe more of a solution like this. So this would also, I think, be a pretty good one to check out. But
Yeah.
certainly, it's if you are going to edit in video long enough, you'll realize that they're all doing the same thing. Um, it's just what kind of does the app look like? How where do you click to get it to do what you want to do? So
Right.
if you're already used to Rush, you might be surprised at how easy you could jump into Premiere. And there's tons of I mean, go on, hop on YouTube, and there's tons of tutorials. There's learning assets. There's plenty of really just good kind of learning materials out there, especially for Premiere. I'd
Right.
say for like creator purposes, it's probably one of the most popular apps. I mean, you see people using it all the time. That's probably the most popular YouTube video to see, like how to do this in Adobe Premiere or how to do this in After Effects, right? That's kind of you learn Premiere, and then you're like, oh, I need one more step. Then you learn After Effects, and you kind of necessitate your growth in the things that you need to do, right? Like I need to edit my audio a little bit more than what I could get in here. Okay, cool. Now you can download, their audio editing app, Audition, and you can download Photoshop, or you can make, you know, Illustrator to make your logos and things. There's all kinds of different things that once you're in the Adobe ecosystem, um, it does become a lot easier to kind of make sense of the rest of them. I will say that.
Yeah, that's a great summary. So Um, it looks like we didn't have any questions come in as we talked about Adobe at length there. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I've said it 100 times, right? But head over to the study group if you guys have additional questions after this presentation, or of course, shoot Corey or I an email. And we do this every month. So register for the next office hours, and we will be hanging out next month as well. So again, if you guys have questions, you know where to find us, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. See you guys.
Bye bye.